Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Afternoon. You by yourself?
Oh, no, we have A.J. Dillingham here.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. And good afternoon, Ms. McLeod. Who else do I see here? No one else.
It looks like P.D. Hogue is here.
Oh, okay. Haven't seen her in a while.
Who we doing first?
Don't know. Let's see. Courtroom 2. Who do you have?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I have position number 1, Mr. Barris.
All right, let me give my quick announcements and we'll get started. Everyone, I'm Judge Regina Mincy, and this is going to be our Fulton County State Court Expedited Accusations calendar. This is the calendar for cases in which individuals have recently been accused, recently arrested and charged with certain misdemeanor offenses. Soon after their arrest, the Fulton County Solicitor General's office has already accused these cases of the offenses brought against them, and these cases have been bound over to the State Court of Fulton County. Nevertheless, this will usually be the defendant's first time before a state court judge, and we're able to handle matters such as bond, possible arraignment, and a possible plea offer if one has been made at this juncture. I'm going to begin by advising everyone that this whole entire proceeding is being recorded as well as live streamed on YouTube. So govern yourselves accordingly. I want to remind the defendants you have certain constitutional rights. The first being you have right to representation or an attorney at this juncture of your case. Most of you know who your attorneys are. You also have a right to remain silent. Anything that you state about the facts, circumstances, and the occurrences can and will be used against you. So again, listen to your attorneys. All right, position number 1 is, I'm sorry?
Not you. That was
You go on, Your Honor. It was just someone.
That was someone.
Okay, and this is Barris Daniel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 23 CR 000699E. You're charged with 1 count of battery family violence. The offense date is February the 2nd, 2023. Pre-trial?
It's first.
Okay. All right. Deputy Falk, or no, Dillingham, ASG Dillingham?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
This incident occurred yesterday, February 2nd, 2023. Officers responded to 2135 Godby Road, which is an apartment complex. There, the defendant and the victim, Malachi Daniel, who are brothers and living in the same household, were in an argument. They were arguing over a missing cell phone when that argument escalated to the defendant punching Mr. Daniel in the face. Upon the arrival of the officers, they observed a cut to Mr. Daniel's face. Your Honor, we did reach out to the victim and we were unable to get in contact, so we would ask to sound for him. However, the state also has a concern for for risk of reoffense due to the fact that they live together and they are siblings. But due to this happening yesterday, we would ask for a stay away order from that address, a $3,000 surety bond, and no further contact with Mr. Malachi Daniel, as well as no drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
All right. And PD Ho?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Daniels is 25 years old. As you can see, this is his first arrest. This was apparently some type of a family argument. Who escalated what and how it got to where it got to is not exactly clear. It's obvious that neither family member were looking to even go forward with any type of case, as it neither called the police. This was called in by someone else. So my understanding is that the brother wasn't even interested in going forward with anything. Neither was he, and neither had called in. Mr. Daniels, just to give you a background, is a lifelong resident of Georgia. He graduated from Cedar Grove High School. He is currently enrolled in Gwinnett College, taking accounting courses. He's 2 years into that degree. He also does work. Obviously, he does qualify for our services, so his income is limited because he's also in school. So he has very limited resources, Your Honor. This is his first offense upon which, as I said, it would seem to be a family argument that who knows exactly who escalated what. And neither were interested in actually going forward with it. So we are asking for a signature bond. He has significant family ties here. His father lives here. His mother lives here. His brother lives here. He's in college. He has a job. He's been here all his life. So we do believe a signature bond is justified in this case, Your Honor. I have discussed the problem with any kind of stay away or no contact. He is fine if that has to happen. I believe his brother does want contact, but if the court is not comfortable, he said he has no problem. He can live elsewhere, as well as he can stay away from that location.
All right. And let me say this before I start. Our reset date for SAP is February the 16th, February 1/6/16. Didn't announce that at the beginning. All right, I'm going to grant a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I am going to order a stay away from 2135 Godby Road. I'm going to order no further contact with, is it Malachi Daniel?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order that one-day anger awareness course through pretrial. And no, I said no further contact with Malachi, stay away. And I think that'll be it. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing
Nothing
further.
from-
All right, thank you.
Next, we have position number 2, Mr. Christopher Conkey.
Okay. This is 23 CR 0000701Y. Christopher Conkey, you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. The offense date is February the 1st, 2023. Pretrial?
20 total. He got an open false statements. That's 22 CP 209642. Open case out of Cobb County, possession of meth, possession of a Schedule 2 controlled substance. Also, an open theft of misplaced property. 2021 probation violation, shoplifting. 2019 probation. 2018 probation. Reckless driving conviction, 2018. It was a DUI, was amended to reckless driving. 2018 theft by shoplifting conviction. Reckless conduct conviction, 2018 out of Forsyth. 2016 shoplifting no load. 2015 FTA. That's it. He got history out of South Carolina.
All right. ASG Dillingham?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred February 1st, 2023, where officers responded to the victim, Jane Goings' residence at 248 Dennis Drive in Alpharetta. Upon arrival, officers found the defendant passed out on the floor from heroin. The officer had to administer sternum rubs to wake the defendant up, and the defendant confirmed to the officer verbally that he had just shot up a few hours prior. Ms. Goings then advised officers that the defendant entered her residence by climbing through the bathroom window. The defendant broke the window, and the damage was approximately $20. Your Honor, due to the defendant's history and multiple probation violations, including failures to appear, the state is recommending a $2,000 surety bond, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, no further contact with Miss Jane Goings, a stay away order from 248 Dennis Drive, Alpharetta. And Your Honor, if we could sound for the victim at this time.
All right, is Miss Jane Goings on the line? Jane Goings. All right, she is not on the line. All right, PD Hope.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Connie is 32 years old, Your Honor, and he's been a lifelong resident of Georgia. He graduated from Forsyth Central, and he also did 3 years at North Georgia studying computer programming. Due to financial situations is when he left there and just started doing landscaping jobs in regular construction. He was recently working for Complete Stair Building before he was laid off, and so right now he is currently unemployed. However, he does have a residence, a consistent address and everything, a residence, as well as family, a mother and father and everyone who he has ties and contacts with here. Your Honor, and so he's actually just doing pickup work, landscaping, contract, construction, everything he can at this point, but he does have very limited resources, Your Honor. Your Honor, I want to clarify something. They picked him up on 2/1. However, this alleged incident actually happened on 1/31. And what it was is it apparently happened between around 2 or 5 in the afternoon, upon which it does not look like Ms. Goings was there. I believe they came home to find the window screen broken and a footprint on a toilet. And then they called the police, but Mr. Connie was not there when they came home, nor was he there when the police got there. The Miss Goings is in fact a grandmother of his children on the mother's side. That's why he was actually there that day, was visiting his children there who were visiting their grandmother. So I would actually question exactly what happened here, or even if he was the person who had done it. There was just an assumption that he was the person who had climbed through the bathroom window. What I would ask at this point, given his limited financial resources and the fact that while he does have a failure to appear that is going on 8 years old, and his convictions are mainly shoplifting and false statements. So there's no history of any kind of real violence or anything in there, that he be given a signature bond, Your Honor. He does understand a stay away is fine with him. He was just visiting his children at the grandmother's house, so it's not a problem for him to stay away from the grandmother or the location whatsoever. And no problem for him to go through pretrial if the judge didn't want to do the signature bond through the jail.
And Your Honor, if I may just clear up some of those facts. The officers did arrive and encounter the defendant at the location. They were called initially and the defendant was not there. They were called again and they returned and found the defendant passed out from heroin and had to adhere to him to get him conscious. So the statement that children were there is even more alarming, and thus that is why the state would object to a signature bond and request a surety bond.
Your Honor, they're his children he was visiting, and they weren't being called out for the fact that he was there visiting his children. They were called out because they believed he had crawled through their window the day before.
Visiting his children while shooting up heroin in that residence.
Your Honor, that is something for a different court. That is not for this court.
You mentioned it, so I had to mention it as well.
All right. I'm going to order the $2,000 surety bond. I'm going to order a stay away from 248 Dennis Drive in Alpharetta. I'm going to order no further contact with Jane Goings. And is Jane Goings the owner? Is that the mother of the children? I didn't hear.
Jane Goings is a grandmother.
Grandmother. Okay. Grandmother.
And it is her residence.
Okay. And her residence. Correct. All right. Stay away from that 248 Dennis. No further contact with Jane Goings. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I'm not going to address anything with the children at this point. I don't know if they reside there, what's going on with that. I don't know if Mr. Conkey was living at that address and needs a one-time escort for any personal items.
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Like I said, he was just there visiting his children who were there visiting their grandmother. There's no indication. And the fact that they're claiming he was shot up on heroin is just simply hearsay in a police report.
Okay.
There was a statement made by the defendant confirming that he had just shot up heroin hours prior to the police arriving.
Again, hearsay in a police report.
And body cam will confirm what he said.
Gotcha. All right. We'll argue the facts later at a hearing. But for now, stay away from that address at Dennis Drive. No further contact with Jane Goins, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. No more drugs. So maybe if those allegations are correct, you can get some help in the meantime. And I think that will be it for this matter. Thank you, counsel. Who do we have next, deputy?
Your Honor, next we have add-on 1, Mr. Kenneth Freeman.
Okay,
And I'm trying to find out if the Spanish interpreter is on. We have Mr. Venancio in courtroom 1, he's position 11 and 12.
okay, I don't see an interpreter yet. Is there a Spanish interpreter on the line?
I thought Kim went to the breakout with the interpreter.
Yes, Kim is in, I can put courtroom 1 in the breakout room.
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I also let the court know that number 4, Mr. Angel Marcos, will also need an Spanish interpreter.
Okay,
Is add-on 1 Kim's client?
yes, Ms. Holt, do you know who's?
I believe so. I didn't interview him, so I'm going to assume that Ms. Kim did. There were several add-ons that they were just kind of ad hoc handing over to us.
Okay,
So we'll go to position number 3, Mr. Lindsay.
okay. All right, this is 23 CR 0000703F. Lindsay, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. Offense date February the 2nd, 2023. Pretrial.
Got 20 total. He's on probation for ag assault out of Cobb County. In 2011, they gave him 10 years to serve and 10 years probation. 2020 criminal damage to property, 2nd degree conviction. 2020 probation. 2020 trespass arrest. The ag assault was a 09, so before that was a 05. It was a CWAC that was amended for conviction. I'll put it in the chat for you. Everything
Okay.
else is back in the early 2000s and 90s. That's it.
All right. ASG Dillingham.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred yesterday, February 2nd. Officers responded to 1329 Willow Trail, Southwest Atlanta. The victim carrying Lindsay's residence. The victim is the sister of the defendant, and she did state that the defendant has been residentially challenged and she has allowed him to stay at her place temporarily. While he was staying there, they got into a verbal argument, which escalated to the defendant throwing a kitchen knife at Miss Lindsay's window, causing the window to break. Your Honor, the state is recommending $2,500 surety bond, a stay away order from that address, 1329 Willow Trail Southwest, no further contact with the victim, Kareem Lindsay, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. And we would ask to sound for the victim.
Is that Karen or Kareem?
Kareem with an M.
Kareem. Okay. Kareem Lindsay. Kareem Lindsay. All right, don't think she's on. All right, PD Holt.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Lindsay is 44 years old, and again, he's been a lifetime resident of Georgia. He is currently on disability, so he has very limited income, Your Honor, and therefore any type of bond would basically be tantamount to no bond. To correct the situation here, Your Honor, actually, Miss Lindsay was not home when this alleged incident happened. Apparently, she got a call from a friend who actually didn't see it either, but I guess must have heard something about breaking a window. Then when she came home, they did get into a verbal dispute. That's according to the arrest warrant that I have on this. So there was not that they were in a dispute and he broke a window. Apparently he had broken a window, and then she came home and they got into a verbal argument over it. So that's where that stands. So it was not a situation where there was any type of action taken out during an argument. As I said, he has limited income. He's on disability, Your Honor. He does have a different place to stay. He has a address in Noonan, Georgia, as well as a phone. So he does have a consistent place to stay and a place where the court can send him notices as well as contact him. Given his financial situation, the fact that this incident happened outside of anyone's vision, and the owner, Miss Lindsay, had to come home to find out about it, Your Honor. I do believe a signature bond is warranted, Your Honor. Otherwise, we'd be asking for a $500 surety bond. I think that's ample to ensure his presence at court.
Okay. All right, I'm going to order the $2,500 surety bond. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order stay away from 1329 Willow Trail Southwest. I'm going to order no further contact with Kareem Lindsay. And I think that'll be it. Thank you, counsel.
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 5, Mr. Justin Mitchell.
Okay. This is 23 CR 0000704Y. Justin Mitchell, charged with 1 count of simple battery, family violence. Offense date is November the 10th, 2022. Pretrial.
11 total. Last arrest was back in May. Probation violation. You got to open shop. This in 3 counts, according to the bond assessment. On probation for burglary. In 2015, they gave him 2 years probation for the burglary first degree. It's 15 SC 132761. 2019 probation violation. 2018 probation. 2018 felony theft by receiving. 2017 disorderly conduct conviction counts. They don't have any violence. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It does have a holdout of Marietta though. Failure to appear warrant. That's it.
All right. ASG Dillingham.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred November 10th of 2022, where officers responded to 3201 MLK Junior Drive Southwest, where the victim, in this case, Alicia Scott, had advised that she and her infant child were sitting in the back seat of the defendant's vehicle while the defendant was driving when an argument ensued. Ms. Scott asked the defendant if he could take them home, and he became angry with that suggestion and stopped the car, turned to the back seat, and began punching her in the face and in the chest unprovoked. The child is about 6 years old. I believe the date of birth was August of 2022. So for that reason, the state is requesting a $4,000 surety bond, no further contact with Alicia Scott, and we will be pursuing a cruelty charge following this proceeding.
All right. Is it PD Hall?
This is not my case, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's representing Mr. Mitchell?
I believe it's Miss Kim.
Okay, I don't, let's see. Do I see her signed on?
She's still in the breakout room, Your Honor.
Oh, with the interpreter?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I apologize, Your Honor. We can, go to position number 10. We come back to you.
Sorry about that.
Let's sit down in the front row. We come back to you. Next, we'll do position 10. It's gonna be a conflict. Ms. McLeod, Isaac
Okay.
Thompson. Position 10.
All right. This is 23 CR 000-705Y. Isaac Thompson, charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property, actually 2 counts. 1 count of simple battery, family violence, and 1 count of theft by taking. All 4 offenses occurred on November the 5th, 2022. Pre-trial.
His third arrest. Last was 2020 misdemeanor possession of marijuana, driving without a valid license. Before that, he got probation for criminal damage to property, 2nd degree. That's 18 SC 158393. It was an obstruction and fleeing an officer with that, but he got 12 months of probation. So that is over. But the criminal damage is still going. That should time out in May. That's it.
Okay. All right. Ms. McLeod.
Actually, Your Honor, that's gonna be.
Oh,
me
I'm sorry,
first.
Deputy Falk. Sorry about
Not a
that.
problem, not at all. I promise I will be quick. So
okay.
this incident occurred November 5th, 2022, at 808 Eloise Court Southeast, apartment C in Atlanta. Katana, and that's Kitonna, Ailes, Ailes, told officers that the father of her youngest child, the defendant, tried to grab her cell phone during an argument. While arguing, she stated he pushed her head, causing her to hit the wall of her bedroom. The defendant then left home to get an Uber, but it never showed. He then returned back to the home, at which point Miss Ailes refused to allow him to enter. He then picked up a branch, began banging it on the door, and forced his way inside of the residence. When he did that, he damaged both the door and then struck a 32-inch TV, rendering it inoperable. At that point, the defendant then took Miss Ailes' iPhone 13 prior to then leaving the residence again. There were 2 children who witnessed this incident. One was their infant child, RT, and the other was HA, age 3. The state is requesting a $4,000 surety bond. That's going to be $2,500 for the simple battery, $500 for the theft, $500 for the 2 counts of criminal trespass. No further contact with Miss Katonna Ailes. Stay away from 808 Eloise Court Southeast, apartment C. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We did attempt to reach out to Miss Ailes. Her number was not accepting calls at the time. We did send a text. So I would like to sound for Miss Ailes at this time in case she is here in court.
All right. Latana Ailes. Latana Ailes.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you are here.
Yes, sir.
All right. I see iPhone and no camera.
I was told that
No. I cannot talk to you if I cannot see you.
okay, give me a second. I'm sorry. I'm here.
All right, and I understand you have a baby with you, so I don't usually let my babies observe court proceedings. I don't know if you are able to keep the baby quiet if you intend to testify and talk to the court.
I can step away for a second.
Okay. All right, do you wish to address the court today?
Yes.
Okay, if you do, hold on, I'm going to swear you in. Raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell me about this incident?
It happened, but it was more of a baby daddy, baby mama drama as usual, DV cases may be. But he did help with the damage of the door. He did apologize for it. He brought me back my phone and he had got me a new TV.
Okay. Are you in fear of Mr. Thompson?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And do you all reside together?
We used to, but he moved out.
All right. Thank you. Any cross-examination, Deputy Falk?
Yes, Your Honor, just very briefly. So
Okay.
Ms. Ailes, you did end up calling the police on this date, November 5th, 2022, is that right?
I did.
And you called them because he did push you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you called him because he did, and I think you acknowledged he fixed these things, but did not strike down your door and then knock your TV over, which caused it not to work.
Yes, ma'am. He did.
And he also took your iPhone.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said this is just kind of, in your mind, just kind of commonplace incident that happened.
Yes, ma'am.
Has anything like this happened prior to this?
No.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Nothing further for the state, Your Honor.
All right. Any cross-examination, Ms. McLeod?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you may go ahead and present.
My client is 22 years old. He is originally from Atlanta and does have ties to the community. He tells me he has an 11th grade education, but is interested in furthering his education. He is the father of 2 children, and both of them are with Miss Ailes. One is 3 years old, the other is only 3 months old, and he is very much involved in the children's lives. After that incident, he told me that he moved out and he now lives with his dad, but he and Miss Ailes are still co-parenting these 2 children. I had the opportunity to speak with Miss Ailes, and she tells me that she takes the children over to where he lives at his dad's house quite regularly, and that everything is fine between them, and that she's not in the least bit afraid of him. She does want to continue to co-parent with him. And she sees no reason for any stay away or any such thing, because she's not afraid of him and they don't live together. Given his limited criminal history, Your Honor, and when this incident happened, it happened a few months ago, and the fact that they do share these 2 young children, I would ask the court to give my client a signature bond so he can get out of jail and get back to his job, as he does have to work to help to support these 2 children. And since the alleged witness does not fear him at all, we would ask for no particular restrictions except no further violent contact between them, Your Honor. Nothing further.
All right. And again, what was the employment?
He works as a dishwasher, Your Honor. He tells me he's working in a restaurant right now.
All right, I'm going to order the $4,000 surety bond, which will be 500 on count 1, 2,500 on count 2, and 500 on count 3, and 500 on count 4. And that should add up to $4,000. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. I'm going to order no further violent contact with Latana Ailes. And I'm inclined, because it was November of last year, I'm inclined not to do the stay away, but I've ordered no further violent contact. And I don't know, what's the state's position at this point on the lack of stay away?
Well, Your Honor, the state's main concern was no further contact. So once that's been amended to no further violent contact, the stay away at that point becomes moot.
Right. And I'm only saying that because this incident happened back in November and we're now in February. So I assume there's been the proper cooling down and they're able to co-parent and not revisit any violence. So I'm going to do that if my victim, or the victim rather, is okay with that, Ms. Ailes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I'm making sure that you're going to be safe. You feel safe.
Yes, ma'am.
If I do not order that stay away.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's no further violent contact. We're gonna hope that we don't see you back here again and that you all will be safe, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Your
All right,
Honor,
that's,
I have
yes.
a question about position 10. On the calendar, it has 2 criminal trespass. And on his booking screen, it only has 1.
Oh,
So I'm trying to see if did you guys add another one? Because it's not.
Yes, we did. Just to answer your question, is this Sergeant Norris?
Yes.
Just to answer your question, Sergeant Norris, yes, we did add another count in the accusation. So there are 4 counts with 2 counts of criminal trespass.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank
great. All right, thank you.
you. You finished? Next, we have position number 14, Mr. Luke Williams. And I believe you need to do a breakout with him.
It is a breakout, Your Honor. If I may ask that we hold that to the end, if that's okay with courtroom 2.
Can we do it now because all the rest of the cases are Ms. Kim and she's not available.
Absolutely, Sergeant Norris. The state's ready. And I'm not sure who the attorney is on the other side.
I am representing Mr. Williams.
Okay.
I believe his mother is on the Zoom. I spoke with her earlier. Miss
Is
Laura.
the mother for Luke Williams on the Zoom call?
I am.
Okay, Laura Williams.
Mhm.
Okay. We're gonna go in a breakout. Let me do that first and see if I need to add you or we'll come back on the record. So hold a second because I don't have the facts before me.
And Your Honor, just to let Ms. Williams know, we did, I do have all of the information that you provided to our victim advocate, Ms. Cheney.
Okay, thank
And I will be communicating that in the breakout.
All right.
So the record room.
Let me see.
All right, let me call this case. This is Luke Williams, 23 CR 0000713G. And we have discussed this case in the breakout. I have one count of battery, family violence, and a second count of disorderly conduct. The offense date is January the 6th, 2023. And I also have the victim, Laura Williams. Pre-trial, what do you have?
First arrest.
Yeah. All right. And so we know that this is first arrest. We have discussed this case in the breakout, Ms. Williams, and just want to ask if we can have your assistance with the transport.
Yes, my husband is at the jail right now, prepared to pick Luke up and take him to Peachford.
Okay, it's a little different. I was going to say in my order that he be released to go there, but we were trying to arrange for them to pick him up, and I don't know if you've discussed that with anyone or if it's going to be safe or okay for his dad to take him.
If you can get Peachford to come, that would be ideal.
I wish I had those kind of powers. If you all have been in contact with them, which I know that you have, is there any way if I put a 48-hour pickup by them that you think you could talk to them for that transport? And maybe what I'll put in there, 48 hours for Peachford to pick up. If not, then he can be released only to his dad for his dad to take him as a backup. I'm trying to think of all scenarios.
So are you saying keep him where he is right now up to 48 hours until we can get Peachford to come down there?
And if you can't, then dad will go down in 48 hours to pick him up.
It will be easier just to let dad pick him up and take him to Peachford because Peachford doesn't have transport.
Do not.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure, again, if dad's doing it, he doesn't jump out the car. Dad doesn't have an issue. Potentially dad, could have been or was a victim as well. But I don't know what we're going to have. And I want to make sure, too, that dad will be safe in doing this transport and that he will actually get there.
Yes, I think he will.
Okay. Let me say this then. I'm going to order the $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order MHET for evaluation. But I'm going to also put in that order, Ms. Grace, that he be released only to the father, whose name is Edward Williams, I understand.
That's correct.
Or Peachford Hospital transportation. Even though we know it doesn't exist, I'd like to put it in there just in case we're lucky to get it. And part of the conditions for your release, Mr. Williams, is that you would stay on your treatment plan and medication, but you're only going to be released to go to Peachford for your treatment. Do you understand that, Mr. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You're not to go back home. You're to go straight to Peachford. However, we may arrange for that transportation for you to get there. I'm going to order no drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons, no drugs that are not prescribed to you while you're on bond. And Ms. Grace has 4,000 on the battery, 1,000 on the disorderly, if I didn't say that. And we just want to make sure that we get the assistance that you need, Mr. Williams, okay?
Yes.
But I'm going to also order no further violent contact with the victims. And I believe that would be Miss Laura Williams. And Miss Williams, if I order no further violent contact, if he's released later from Peachford and has things under control, I understand you would like for him to come back home. And so I want to do what's best for the family and for all of you to be safe. But I have not ordered yet a stay away from the home or no further contact. So what would make you feel the safest?
He needs to come home after Peachford.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I'm not going to order the stay away but I am ordering no further violent contact with Miss Laura Williams. And I'm just going to go a step further and say the rest of the family at the home, which would be Edward Williams and Natalie Williams. So Mr. Williams, if you have any more violence that happens at the home, they can call the police and you will be rearrested. So we want to make sure we get you the help, but also that everyone's going to be safe. All right. Anything else, counsel?
So he know he got to check in with pretrial, right?
And you'll have to check in with pretrial. Yes. I'm going to assume that the family and Miss Laura Williams will help with that check-in. And when you get that information, Miss Williams, that if he is still at Peachford, you'll have to do that check-in for him to inform them of his location.
I'm sorry, what's the pretrial?
Pretrial services, I want him to still be monitored
Okay,
while he's on bond and to keep up with his whereabouts.
okay.
Pretrial, how will you give that information to Miss Williams?
They'll give him the information before he leaves the jail.
And then he can get it.
I don't know if he will hold on to the paper or what, but he'll get a piece of paper before he get released.
So make sure
Okay.
that that's given to the dad, Mr. Williams, who's going to be picking him up.
Yes, he's down there right now. So whenever,
Okay. Whenever he's processed. And Mr. Williams, make sure you give that paper to your dad so he can have the information on the pretrial, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I think that will conclude this matter.
Your Honor, the breakdown is 2,500 per charge.
No, 4,000 on the battery, 1,000 on the disorderly.
Okay, and also just an FYI, it could take up 24 hours before he can be processed out.
All right, Miss Williams, if you can call your husband to let him know, he may want to go get some dinner because he's going to be waiting for quite some time.
did he say 24 hours?
He did.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay. They have
Okay.
a lot of checks and balances to do, and it takes that much per person on average.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so he'll just come back tomorrow then and get him. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to ask a question during this legal proceeding, but he should be taking medication and he does not have that. So,
Deputy, is there any way you could tell, I mean, should she come back at midnight or should she come back at 6 a.m.? Our
If
dad, I
they
should say
go-
she dad.
If the dad is already up there, he can go up to Central Control, give them his phone number, and they'll call him and let him know when he's ready to go.
Because we want to make sure that they don't just let him out on the steps or the porch and then dad misses him. So did you hear that, Miss Williams? To
the
let your
dad should
husband
go
know?
ask who?
Central Control.
Central Control in
Just
the
give him
jail.
his name and phone number, and they'll call him when he's ready to leave.
Okay,
Because he is only to be released in that order, Miss Grace, to either Peachford or to his dad, Edward Williams, and no one else. Or to be released on his own recognizance, no.
And Your Honor, I got Deputy Blunt. She's going to talk to the father.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. We appreciate that.
No problem.
All right, that will conclude this matter. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You can, hold on 1 second. You can go to courtroom 1 for the Spanish interpreter, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, I see my Spanish interpreter there.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Raise your right hand for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Interpreter. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that you will faithfully interpret from Spanish to English, English to Spanish, the proceedings before this court in an accurate manner with the best of your skill and knowledge with no embellishments?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And so which case are we doing first? I think there are two cases.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there's PD Kim. All right, we've been looking for you. All right. Which case are we doing first?
11 and 12, Judge.
11 and 12, okay. This is 23 CR 000-706C. Is it Raul Venancio? And I apologize if I mispronounce your last name.
Este es el caso 23-CR00707C, Raúl Venancio, y disculpe si no pronuncio bien su nombre.
All right.
Yes.
You're charged with one count of DUI, less safe, and a second count of driving hit and run, duty of driver to stop at the scene.
Tiene dos cargos, uno por manejar incapacitado bajo los efectos del alcohol y el segundo por chocar y huir con otro vehículo automotor.
Both with the offense date of February the 2nd, 2023.
Y los dos con la fecha de ocurrencia el febrero 2 del 2023.
All right, pre-trial.
Servicios previos al juicio.
First arrest.
Primer arresto.
All right. Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm going to start with the DUI case first.
Voy a empezar con el caso de manejar incapacitado por los efectos del alcohol primero.
The DUI, this case occurred on February 2nd, 2023 at around 7:03 p.m.
Este caso ocurrió el febrero 2 del 2023 a las 7:03 de la noche.
The caller, Miss Margaret Couch, stated that she was driving her father's white Infiniti.
La conductora que se llama Margaret Couch declaró que estaba conduciendo el auto de su padre, un Infiniti blanco,
which was struck by the defendant who was driving a Ford F-150 while she and her family were driving through the complex at 815 Roswell Creek Lane.
Y este vehículo, ella declara que fue golpeado por el 4F-150 mientras estaban pasando por la dirección de 8115 de Roswell Creek Lane in Roswell.
She stated that after the defendant struck her vehicle, he fled the scene and she tried to make contact with him after he drove off.
Ella también declaró que este acusado, después de golpear el vehículo, huyó y ella trató de contactar al acusado mientras él se iba manejando.
The defendant yelled at her, "You can call the police. They can't do anything to me. I don't care."
El acusado gritó, usted puede llamar a la policía, no me pueden hacer nada y no me importa.
The defendant also ran into apartment 814G and refused to exchange information with Miss Couch.
También el acusado tuvo contacto con el departamento de 814G y también se rehusó a comunicarse con la señora o señorita Couch.
When the officers made contact with the defendant, he stated he admitted to driving the vehicle, but stated he did not remember exactly what happened due to being too drunk.
Cuando la policía, los oficiales contactaron a este acusado, él admitió haber golpeado al vehículo, pero agregó que no recordaba cómo pasó debido a que estaba muy borracho.
He admitted to drinking approximately 10 beers.
Él admitió tomar aproximadamente 10 cervezas.
And the officers observed that he smelled of alcohol, his speech was slurred, he was unsteady on his feet, and his eyes were glossy and bloodshot red.
Y los oficiales observaron un aliento a alcohol, que él balbuceaba, que sus pies no podían mantener el equilibrio y los ojos rojizos y vidriosos.
The officer attempted to conduct field sobriety tests, but the defendant was too intoxicated to understand the questions.
Los policías trataron de realizar unos análisis en el área, pero el acusado estaba muy desequilibrado para conducirlos.
The defendant was read implied consent and placed under arrest.
Y también se le dio el consentimiento escrito, se le leyó al acusado antes de arrestarlo.
The state is requesting a $5,000 surety bond.
La fiscalía pide $5,000 de fianza bajo garantía,
$4,000 on the DUI,
$4,000 de multa por el cargo de manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol
and $1,000 on the hit and run.
y $1,000 de fianza por el cargo de chocar y huir.
State is also requesting the defendant have no alcohol, drugs, and weapons and not be permitted to drive.
También la fiscalía requiere que quede prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol, armas y también el manejo de un vehículo.
The simple assault occurred May 18th of 2020 at the same address, 841 Roswell Creek Lane in Roswell, Georgia.
El cargo I'm sorry, madam, what was that charge again?
Simple assault.
Oh, gracias. El cargo de golpes y lesiones simples fue ocurrido el 18 de mayo del 2020 en la misma dirección del 814 en Roswell Creek Lane en Roswell.
In that case, the victim was Alberto Pulido, that is Pulido.
En ese caso, la víctima fue Alberto Pulido, Pulido.
And Mr. Pulido stated that he was unloading groceries with his granddaughter, juvenile JP, when the defendant approached him and began cursing.
Y el señor Alberto Pulido declaró que él estaba sacando los comestibles con su nieta, la menor conocida como JP, cuando este acusado se acercó con insultos hacia ellos.
Mr. Pulido then pushed the defendant away from him and his juvenile granddaughter.
Entonces el señor Pulido empujó a este acusado para alejarlos de él y su nieta.
And when the defendant went inside of his residence, he came out with a chainsaw.
Y después de este acusado haber entrado en su residencia, volvió a salir con una podadora eléctrica, una sierra eléctrica.
The defendant continued making threats at Mr. Pulido while holding the chainsaw.
Y el acusado comenzó a hacer amenazas al señor Pulido mientras sostenía la sierra eléctrica.
And at some point, the defendant attempted to crank the chainsaw.
Y en un momento también intentó hacer arrancar la sierra.
Officers spoke to the defendant, who was clearly intoxicated.
Y los oficiales de policía hablaron con el acusado que estaba claramente intoxicado.
And also talked to witness Teresa Rodriguez, who also observed the defendant, who stated the defendant had acted that way because he was drunk and jealous.
Y también hablaron con Teresa Rodríguez, quien también confirmó que este acusado actuaba así debido a que estaba borracho.
The defendant did admit to taking the chainsaw and bringing it out of the house, but claimed it was to cut trees.
El acusado admitió sacar la sierra eléctrica fuera de la casa, pero aclaró que era para cortar árboles.
The state's recommendation is a $2,500 surety bond.
La fiscalía recomienda una fianza de $2,500 bajo garantía.
No alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Que quede prohibido el uso de alcohol, drogas y armas.
Stay away from Alberto Pulido.
Que mantenerse alejado del señor Alberto Pulido.
And juvenile JP.
Y la menor JP.
And one-day anger awareness.
Y tomar una clase de concientización de la ira.
Nothing further from the state.
Nada más de parte de la Fiscalía.
All right, PD Kim.
Yes, Mr. Venancio is 43 years old.
El señor Venancio tiene 43 años de edad.
He has been here in Georgia for about 18 years.
Él ha estado aquí en Georgia por aproximadamente por 18 años.
And he resides with his girlfriend's sons from Honduras.
Y él vive con los hijos de la novia de Honduras.
And Your Honor, he completed up to third year at the high school.
Y él ha terminado el tercer año de la escuela secundaria.
He is gainfully employed, even though it's not too busy right now. He's not making much money.
Él tiene un empleo remunerado, pero no está ganando mucho dinero.
We would like to request for signature on bond for these charges, since this is his first offense.
Queremos pedir una fianza bajo firma por estos cargos debido que es su primer arresto.
He has no objection to stay away from Alberto Pulido and JP.
Él no objeta mantenerse alejado de Alberto Pulido y JP.
It seems like they are neighbors, but there are about 2 to 3 blocks away from each other.
Parecen ser vecinos, pero distanciados de 2 a 3 cuadras.
So I think it's doable to stay away from him.
Por eso yo creo que es posible que se mantenga alejado de él.
And for DUI less safe.
Por el cargo de manejar incapacitado bajo los efectos del alcohol.
We ask for $1,000 good bond.
Pedimos una fianza de $1,000.
And for driving hit and run, we ask for signature on bond.
Y por manejar, chocar y huir, pedimos que una fianza bajo firma.
Thank you.
Gracias.
All right, I am going to order on the first case with the DUI and the driving hit and run.
Voy a ordenar para el primer caso por manejar incapacitado bajo los efectos del alcohol y por chocar y huir.
$5,000 surety bond.
$5,000 de fianza bajo garantía.
Which is $4,000 on the DUI.
4,000 serían para el cargo de manejar bajo los efectos del alcohol.
And $1,000 on the hit and run.
Y $1,000 por el cargo de chocar y huir.
I'm going to also order no further contact with the victim. Is it Laura Couch?
Y voy a pedir no tener contacto alguno con la víctima. Es Laura Couch.
Margaret.
Margaret.
Honor.
Es
I'm sorry.
Margaret.
Margaret.
Lo siento, es Margaret Couch.
I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Y queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
No driving while on bond.
No puede conducir mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
If he needs to go see his lawyer, go to court, needs to take an Uber or ride share.
Si tiene que ir a ver al abogado, él puede tomar el servicio de Uber o puede ir con otras personas que lo lleven.
And I think that will conclude the first case.
Esto entonces termina el primer caso.
On the second case,
en el segundo caso,
ending in 707C,
que termina en el número 707C,
with one count of simple assault.
con el cargo de agresión, golpes y lesiones simples.
I'm going to order a $2,000 surety bond.
Ordeno una fianza de bajo garantía de $2,000.
I'm going to order no further contact with victim Alberto Pulid.
Ordeno que no haya contacto alguno con la víctima Alberto Pulido, PULIDO.
And no further contact with victim a minor JP.
Y tampoco contacto con la menor JP.
And I understand, Deputy Falk, both of these happen generally at the same location. I would order a stay away, but I'm not sure.
I believe this is where Mr. Venancio resides, but the public defender could better answer that.
Yes.
Creo que el domicilio es donde vive el señor Venancio, donde ocurrió el incidente, pero la abogada pública puede contestar eso mejor.
My client resides at 814 apartment number G.
Mi cliente reside en el 814 departamento G.
I am concerned for the safety of the victims. But if Mr. Venancio should not be drinking, he shouldn't be drunk walking around the complex.
Yo tengo una inquietud, me preocupan las víctimas, pero si el señor Venancio deja de tomar, se le prohíbe tomar, entonces no va a estar ahí caminando y merodeando en el complejo de departamentos.
So PD Kim, do you think he can go back to this apartment complex, but have no further contact with the victims?
Yes, Your Honor.
Por eso ¿usted cree que él puede volver a este complejo de departamentos y no tener contacto con la víctima? Sí, su señoría.
All right, I won't order the stay away, but I'm going to be very strict about no further contact with these victims.
Muy bien, no pondré una orden de a mantener distanciamiento de estas personas, pero sí ordeno muy seriamente que no tengan contacto alguno con ellas.
So on that second case, again, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Y también en este segundo caso queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras esté libre bajo fianza.
All right, that should conclude both matters. Anything else, counsel?
Esto debe terminar entonces los dos casos. ¿Algo más, licenciada?
Nothing further from defense.
Nada más de la defensa.
Nothing for the state.
Nada más de la fiscalía.
All right, thank you.
Muy bien, gracias.
And the other case is position number
4.
4. And that is 23 CR 0007108 Angel Marcos.
Ese es Ángel Marcos, 23CR00710H.
That's in the Alpharetta jail.
Y es en la cárcel de Alpharetta.
Charged with 1 count of simple battery, family violence, and a 2nd count of criminal trespass and damage to property.
Con un cargo de golpes y lesiones simples, violencia familiar. Segundo cargo, allanamiento de morada, daño a la propiedad.
Offense date February the 2nd, 2023.
Y el día del incidente fue febrero 2 del 2023.
All right, pretrial.
I got
Servicios.
second. I
Go
got
ahead.
second arrest. Last arrest was November. Possession of drug related objects.
Possession of drugs and
Say that again, pretrial, a little slower.
Possession of drug related objects from November 2022.
hay un antecedente de otro arresto en noviembre del 2022 por tenencia de objetos relacionados con drogas.
All right. Deputy Falk.
On February 2nd, 2023, officers arrived at 3055 North Point Parkway in Alpharetta.
One moment, please. En el febrero 2 del 2023, los oficiales de policía llegaron al 3055 North Point Parkway en Alpharetta.
The defendant had grabbed Maria Pineda, Maria common spelling Pineda, Pineda, his girlfriend that he had lived with for the past 12 months.
El acusado había arrebatado, la había agarrado fuertemente a la señora María Pineda, quien había sido su novia por los últimos 12 meses.
Ms. Pineda stated the defendant then knocked her glasses off of her face, breaking the lenses.
Dijo la señora Pineda que el acusado le sacó las gafas de que tenía ella, rompiéndole el vidrio de ellos.
When officers arrived, they actually observed the defendant still grabbing Ms. Pineda's arm, and he was up in her face yelling at her.
Cuando los oficiales llegaron, observaron que el acusado estaba todavía tomando a la señora Pineda del brazo y gritándole en la cara.
We have not been able to make contact with the victim due to not having enough information in the warrant.
Debido a que no hubo demasiada información en la orden de arresto, no hemos podido contactar a la víctima.
But we would like the court to sound for her.
Pero quisiera que llame su señoría a la señora.
The state's recommendation is a total $3,000 surety bond.
La fiscalía recomienda una fianza de $3,000 bajo garantía.
That is going to be $2,000 on the simple battery and $1,000 on the criminal trespass.
Serían $2,000 de fianza por el primer cargo de golpes y lesiones simples y $1,000 por allanamiento de morada.
We're also asking for no further contact, stay away, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Y también la fiscalía pide que no haya más contacto entre ellos y que se ordene el distanciamiento también y que quede prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas.
Nothing further from the state.
Nada más de parte de la fiscalía.
All right, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Marcos is 26 years old.
Sí, su señoría, el señor Marcos tiene 26 años.
He came from Guatemala last year.
Él vino de Guatemala el año pasado.
He's been here for 1 year.
Él ha estado aquí un año.
He's gainfully employed at Cachus Tequila restaurants.
Él tiene un empleo remunerado en el restaurante Cactus y Tequilas.
And actually, he works with complaining witness Maria Pineda.
Él en realidad trabaja con la testigo demandante María Pineda.
So they live together, they work together.
Entonces viven y trabajan juntos.
He completed up to second grade in high school.
Él terminó su segundo año en la escuela secundaria.
After this bond hearing, he's not going to be qualified for public defender services.
Después de esta audiencia, él no cumple los requisitos para recibir los servicios de la Oficina de Defensores Públicos.
He does not have any phone number with him.
Él no tiene un número de teléfono consigo.
So I was wondering if solicitor can give me Maria Pineda's contact information.
Entonces me gustaría solicitar a la fiscalía si me pudiese dar la información de contacto para María Piñeda.
And hopefully we can get some contact. He has no objection to no further contact as long as they are allowed to work together. He's a cook and she is a waitress.
Él no tiene ninguna objeción en no tener más contacto con ella. Él es un cocinero y mientras que ellos pudieran trabajar juntos, él es cocinero y ella es mesera.
None of those two people was fired.
Ninguno de los dos han sido echados de su trabajo.
It's very important for my client to go back to work.
Y es muy importante para mi cliente volver a trabajar.
We would like to request for a signature on bond.
Quisiera pedir una fianza bajo firma.
And yet, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request for $1,000 maximum.
Y si su señoría cree que no puede otorgar esta solicitud, pedimos que sea una fianza de no más de $1,000.
And the criminal trespass and damage to property was not in the Odyssey.
El segundo cargo de allanamiento de morada, no había información presente en el sistema The Odyssey.
We would like to know if we can get a signature on bond.
Quisiéramos pedirle una fianza bajo firma, entonces.
Thank you.
Gracias.
And Your Honor, that was a charge added on by the state, and both charges are in the case manager side of Odyssey. I'm looking at it right now.
Ese cargo fue agregado por la fiscalía y se puede ver bajo el área de administraciones de caso.
All right. I'm going to order the $3,000 signature, the $3,000 surety bond.
Voy a ordenar los $3,000 de fianza bajo garantía.
With that surety bond, it's $2,000 on the simple battery and $1,000 on the criminal trespass.
Serían entonces $2,000 de fianza por golpes y lesiones simples y $1,000 de fianza por allanamiento de morada.
And I'm going to order a stay away from 3055 North Point Parkway. That is the victim's address.
That's the
One moment, please. Y voy a ordenar que se mantenga alejado del 3055 North Point Parkway en Alpharetta. ¿Ese es el domicilio de la víctima?
That's the restaurant that they work, Your Honor.
Ese es el domicilio del restaurante donde trabajan ellos.
All right, I want him to stay away from the restaurant.
Quiero
And I
que
could find
se
somewhere else to work.
Quiero que se mantengan alejados del restaurante y se consigan un nuevo trabajo en donde trabajar.
All right, and there's no further contact with Maria Pineda.
Y no puede haber ningún tipo de contacto alguno con María Pineda.
No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
Y no queda prohibido el uso de drogas, alcohol y armas mientras estén libres bajo fianza.
And that should be it for this case. Anything else, counsel?
Eso será por este caso. ¿Algo más, licenciada?
I just put in the chat that Cactus Cantina is the name of that location.
Sí, acabo de poner que el lugar de esa dirección es la cantina Cactus and Tequilas.
All right.
How much was that?
¿Cuánto es eso?
That is 3,000 surety bond, 2,000 a simple battery, 1,000 on the trespass.
Es un total de una fianza bajo garantía de $3,000, serían $2,000 por golpes y lesiones, el primer cargo, y $1,000 por allanamiento de morada, que es el segundo cargo.
Anything else, counsel?
¿Algo más, licenciada?
Nothing from the state.
Nada
Nothing
más
from the
de la
defense.
fiscalía, nada más de la defensa.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Muy bien, gracias. Thank you, Your Honor. May the interpreter be dismissed?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You're welcome, you too.
Position number 5 in courtroom 2, Mitchell.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Position number 5, Mitchell.
All right, I have the, Miss Kim, we were waiting on you. You were in, breakout.
Yeah.
That's 23 CR 000704Y. And, that's Mr. Mitchell charged with 1 count of simple battery family violence. We had already had testimony, from ASG Dillingham with
I
them
guess I need to
writing,
give her the history, Judge.
and I have the history as well. It was 11 total with pretrial and all of that. This is the case that we already presented on, and we got all the way through it to find out PD Kim wasn't on. Do you recall?
Yeah, I'm ready. You ready?
Well, I already
I thought
have
you was
it.
briefing her about it.
I was just briefing her about it. I mean,
Yeah,
do we need
okay.
to give, Miss Dillingham should have the history as well. You had 11 total.
I'll run back through it.
I
for
just
Kim.
didn't want to repeat all of that.
But
Yeah,
she wasn't
unless-
here, so I'll run through it real quick.
Okay, that's right. PD Kim was not. Okay, go ahead.
11 total. Last arrest was in May. Probation violation. He's on probation for burglary. 15 SC 132761. They gave him 10 years of probation in 2015 for that. I'm sorry. 2019 probation. We had a 2022 shoplifting as well. 2018 probation, 2018 felony theft by receiving. Disorderly conduct conviction, 2 counts, 2017.
Can't hear you.
Disorderly conduct conviction, 2 counts, 2017. That's it.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, this incident, just to give PD Kim a fair chance for rebuttal or her arguments. This incident did occur November 10th of 2022. Officers responded to 3201 MLK Junior Drive Southwest, where the victim in this case, Alicia Scott, had advised that she and her infant child were sitting in the back seat of the defendant's vehicle when an argument ensued. Ms. Scott asked the defendant if he could take the 2 of them home because it was cold and rainy and wanted to get her child in the house, but instead the defendant grew angry, became irate, came to an abrupt stop, turned around to the back seat and began punching Ms. Scott in the face and the chest unprovoked. The state is requesting a $4,000 surety bond, no further contact with Alicia Scott. And because we later learned that the child was present in the car and the child is 6 years old, the state will be pursuing a cruelty charge following this proceeding.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor. This happened in November last year. And Mr. Mitchell is 27 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. And they are still living together right now. And as of today, I think they are engaged. So it was not Miss Alicia who called the police. It was my client told me that it was her mother who probably misunderstood and called the police. Mr. Mitchell is gainfully employed as an assistant manager for the Peach Cobbler Cafe, and he has graduated from high school as well. He's not going to be represented by us after he gets out from the bonding, and we would like to request for a signature on bond. However, if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond because of the past history, we would like to request for $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
And Your Honor, if I may briefly, the police report does, or my apologies, the warrant does state that Ms. Scott did call the police and that they were dispatched as a result of her call. We would like to sound for the victim. I don't believe she's on, but just in case.
I'm on.
She's on. She was on before. I see her. And it's Alicia Scott. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to address the court today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, raise your right hand for me. Do you affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. What would you like to tell me?
Yes, he's actually my baby father. It was a misunderstanding. We have had a talk about it already. He apologized. I don't think that we should do further contact. I think it's over with now. So staying away agreement, I don't think that we should do a stay away agreement because we obviously stay together. So I don't want to push the stay away agreement.
All right, so I have the offense date, counsel, is November the 10th. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you all have been living together peacefully since November the 10th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And forgot what I was going to ask, but that's okay. Are you in fear of Mr. Mitchell? That's what I was going to ask.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Anything else, counsel, before I give my ruling?
Your Honor, we would also like to ask for third-party transfer for the child.
We would like to request for no further violent contact, Your Honor.
All right, I'm assuming there's been the proper cooling down period. The victim has stated she's not in fear and they've been living together peacefully since November. So I'm going to order no further violent contact. But I'm going to give a surety bond of $4,000. No further violent contact with the victim, Alicia Scott. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I'm going to order a one-day anger awareness course. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further from the defense.
All right.
Nothing
That
further.
should conclude this case. Thank you, Ms. Alicia, for your time. Ms. Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Position number 8, Reed.
Okay. This is 23 CR 0000700J. DeMarco Reed, 1 count of battery, family violence. Offense date February 2nd, 2023. Pre-trial.
21 total. Last arrest was 2017. Terroristic threats, ag assault, obstruction, simple assault. Those were not presented to a grand jury. Endangering a child by DUI, those are convictions from 2015. And that was 2 counts, 1 count DUI, 1 count of driving without a valid license. 2009 FTA for obstruction and obstruction conviction. And the FTA for false name, 2009. Before that was 07, probation for simple battery. That's it.
Okay. Deputy Falk.
Yes.
Oh, he
Your
got
Honor.
an FTA one out of Decatur. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Your Honor, this happened yesterday at 10:43 p.m. Officers were dispatched to 2541 Woodbend Lane and met with Shantiria Reed, SHANTIREA, who stated that the defendant and her husband came into the house intoxicated and irate. She stated that he punched her son, Jamon, that is JAE, apostrophe MON, Walker, who's 16 years of age, repeatedly with a closed fist while he was upstairs in the bedroom. My understanding is that after that happened, Mr. Walker, the juvenile, then went downstairs, tossed the defendant's belongings outside. At that point, the defendant came downstairs, began punching Mr. Walker again with a closed fist across his face and pulling his hair. The officers observed that Mr. Walker had bleeding from his left ear and multiple bruises on the left side of his face. Contact was made with the defendant at the time when they arrived. He was at the residence. He became very irate with the police and was detained. The victim in this case, as I stated, is 16 years of age. We have had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Reed, who is also the defendant's wife, and she did state that she corroborated much of this, that the defendant came home, was upset. They got into an argument. The defendant got very angry and attacked her son. She stated that that had never happened before, and they were shocked and did call the police. She said, although she did not see him drinking, he did smell of alcohol, and she does believe that he needs alcohol treatment. She also stated that they do not fear the defendant wants him to return home. However, the state has some serious reservations about this. The first is there hasn't been a sufficient cooling off period. That it literally hasn't even been 24 hours since this happened. And the second issue that we have is this is a vulnerable individual. He's 16 years of age. And I do understand, 16 is still he is a teenager, but at the same time, I do not feel comfortable with introducing a person who just attacked a 16-year-old child back into the home. So the state does have some serious concerns there as well. Also, we do see that there is that 2019 case that was dismissed that was aggravated assault. We have a 2006 probation violation and 2 FTAs, one from 2005 and one from 2009, as well as the endangering a child charge, which was associated with alcohol. It was a DUI and endangering a child, so that was from 2016. The state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond. Stay away from the address at 2541 Woodbin Lane. No further contact with Jamon Walker, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
Okay. It seems like Miss Shantaria Reed is on the line. May she go first?
Yeah, thank you, PD Kim. I did neglect to mention that Ms. Reed is here and we would like to sound for her. I believe she is present over on the right-hand side of at least my screen.
Ms. Reed?
And her phone, I believe, is the iPhone, but I might be wrong.
Ms. Reed? If you're present, you need to unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. If you wish to address the court, you're going to have to figure out real quick how to unmute yourself. We cannot hear you.
And Your Honor, that may not be her. So if PD Kim
Okay.
can go ahead,
Sure.
and then if she is here, she can unmute.
Okay.
Sure. Mr. Reed is 41 years old. He was born and raised here in Georgia. And of course, he's married. Mr. JW is his stepson. And it seems like it was stepdaughter who called the police. My client has no objection to stay away or no further contact at this point. However, he would like to get signature on bond since he has had very difficult time with his unemployment, and also his income is so low to the point that he's qualified for public defender services, Your Honor. So our team will continuously represent him, and his highest level of education was 9th grade. And he does not have GED. We would like to request for maximum $1,000 good bond if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond. Thank you.
All right. And I'm making sure I had actually the victim was Shantaria Lane and not Miss Reed. So I was making sure that person was not Miss Lane either. I think her last name was different. And I think I was sounding for Shantaria Reed. It should be Shantaria Lane. Just making sure there's no one connected with Mr. DeMarco Reed's case who's on the line on Zoom, making sure sounding once again. All right, I'm going to order that $3,000 surety bond I'm going to order a stay away from 2541 Woodbine Lane. I'm going to order no further contact with Shanteria Lane and no further contact with the minor JW. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I will give a one-time police escort if he needs it to get any personal belongings from that property. You will not go back to that location to find somewhere else to live, Mr. Reed, but you can go back with a law enforcement escort. Do not go back by yourself, else you'll be arrested. So you have to arrange that when you get out, if we make bond, and they can escort you to the property to get your belongings, but you are not to go back there right now. Excuse me. All right, anything else, counsel?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Reed has children with Miss Santeria. Actually, 7 months old is his baby, so he really want to have contact with his children. Can we have a third party?
No, I'm not going to order that at all. No, no, I'm not going to order any of that with a 7-month-old. He's not shown to be, from these allegations, I'm wanting there to be safety. Let me add the children, the additional child to this no further contact with the 7-month-old baby. If you give me the initials, I'll add the initials.
I don't have an initial, Your Honor.
All right.
I do not have that information in the warrant, Your Honor.
We'll just add that to the bond conditions. No further contact with this 7-month-old child with the victim.
And Your Honor, could you repeat not the conditions, just the amount of the bond?
Oh, I'm sorry, $3,000 surety bond.
Just wanted to make sure. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah, thank you.
Position 7, Randolph.
Your Honor.
Question of breakout?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, and I'm representing Mr. Randolph, Your Honor.
All right.
I would like to be invited to the breakout room, Your Honor.
Okay. So
Judge, can I give you the history real quick?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, pretrial.
6 total.
That was 6.
Correct. 2019.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear how many?
6.
6, okay.
2019 obstruction, criminal trespass, no load. Shoplifting conviction 2017, first offender. 2016 was a fugitive from justice warrant. Oh, got a 2016 out of Charlotte domestic violence protection order violation. It says dismissed without leave, but then under that it says plea was guilty. So. And a 2016 second degree CWAC that was dismissed by the DA. That's all.
All right. Now we can go into breakout. Is it ASG Willingham and Deputy Falk in the breakout for the state?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then Ms. Kim and Hold, PD's Kim and Hold for the defense.
That's
All right, we're back on the record with position number 723 CR 0000709F, Christopher Randolph. Is that you, Mr. Randolph? Okay, and you're charged with one count of harassing communications, which occurred on 9/7/2021. And we have discussed your case due to some sensitive matters in a breakout room. But I want to come back on the record to give my ruling. And that is that I'm going to grant you a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. And they will give you that information upon your release as far as checking in with pretrial for monitoring. But I'm also going to put some special conditions and stipulations on this signature bond, okay? And the first one is being that you're to have no further contact with McLean. And is it DeRavens?
Yes, Your Honor, Des Ravens.
Des Ravens. You'd have no further contact with her. You are not to contact her through social media. And that being the biggest one, not directly through you, not through anyone else. You are not to have any type of third party contact with her. You are not to do any postings on any type, social media, Instagram, Facebook, any websites or anything regarding her. Is that clear? You're not to have any third parties to contact her through your direction. You stay more than 100 yards away from her. Again, you've got to stay off of social media and do not mention anything about her or about your previous relationship or anything between the two of you. You are also to stay away from 8310 Champion Trail in Fairburn. You're not to go by that address or any address that the victim may reside at for that matter. You are to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond, meaning no drugs not prescribed to you. You are to continue your treatment and your care and medications with the physicians and workers at the Highland River facility. And you must take your medication as prescribed, stay on it daily or however it is administered to you. That is what we're hoping that you will continue to do so that your case can be resolved and we make sure that all goes well and that the victim is safe. All right, anything else, counsel, that I've left out?
Nothing.
Just check your check.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm not ordering that at this time.
No, I'm asking.
Well, he's fine and been treating since 2021.
But anytime it's a case like that and y'all send it through pretrial, I need to know so I know who to send it to. So they can get the
there is a diagnosis and there is treatment, but no recent issues that we know of. So yes, it does have that component.
Thank you.
All right. All right, if there's nothing else, that will conclude this case.
Add on one, Mr. Freeman.
Okay. This is 23 CR 000715B, Kenneth Freeman, charged at one count of simple battery family violence. I'm sorry, two counts of, let me change that. One count of simple battery family violence and one count of battery family violence. Both of those offenses have the offense date of October the 11th, 2022, pretrial.
48. Last
Okay,
arrest was 2020 probation, 2019 probation, 2018 probation. Possession of drug-related objects conviction, 2018. Giving false name, NOLO, 2018. 2018 probation violation. He was convicted for battery. Well, he pled NOLO to it anyway. 2017, along with disorderly conduct out of Chambly. I got a 2017, 2 count theft by taking, 1 count trespass, 1 count possession of tools, that was a conviction. 2016 probation, 2015 probation, 2014 probation, 2014 obstruction, reckless conduct conviction. 2014 simple battery DV, those were dismissed out of Norcross. 2012 probation. 2010, I got criminal attempt to commit a felony, 3 counts, 1 count possession of tools, trespass. That was out of Gwinnett. 2010, stuff I taken conviction. You want me to keep going?
No, that's good. Thank you. All right, Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on October 11th of 2022. Officers were dispatched to 1135 Dolphin Drive, Southwest Atlanta, and met with Ramona Carruthers. That is common spelling of Ramona, but Carrothers. She stated that around 9 a.m. she had picked up the defendant, who was her ex, who she used to live with. And while he was getting in the vehicle, she saw a beer in his hand. She then told police that while they were driving, they began having a verbal argument. He punched her in the face 2 times with a closed fist and then exited the vehicle and ran off into a nearby park. The officers did observe that her face was red where she had appeared to have been struck, and the officers at that time were not able to locate the defendant. The recommendation in this case, and just to clarify, she actually stopped an officer who was on a traffic stop to assist her. And also called the police as well. So at the time, she considered this serious enough that she reached out immediately for assistance. The state's recommendation on this is on the battery. We are recommending a $4,000 surety bond, no further contact with Ramona Carruthers, stay away from her address, which is, if Your Honor will just give me a moment. I have Miss Carruthers' address at the time is 1083 Coleman Street in Atlanta, Georgia. And we're also asking no alcohol, drugs, or weapons and 1-day anger awareness. On the simple battery case, we are asking for a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. The state did a essentially just a duplication of the charges, just in a different format due to just wanting to charge in the alternative out of an abundance of caution here. So total would be a $6,000 split bond, Your Honor, with the conditions remaining the same. Thank you.
All right.
We would like to sound for Ms. Carruthers.
Is Ms. Carruthers on the call? Can we find out my Zoom master, which I believe is Miss Champion? Who is that with iPhone? Can she change and put her name on there? We can know who she is. I don't like to have iPhones on there. At least a first name. The lady with the glasses who is iPhone, are you able to put your name on your ID tag as to who you are?
And I was actually going to let the court know we actually have 2 people on under iPhone. One who
Do we have another one?
I see the video.
I see it there. There's one down below. Ma'am. Can you unmute yourself? I can see you talking, and unless you're talking to me, I just wanted to know who you were and which case you were here for.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can. What is your name?
I'm Deborah Abshire for Forrest Savage.
Do you know how to put your name on the
on iPhone? I don't.
Okay.
I keep getting kicked out. I've been responding back and forth with the young lady that called me this morning. So
all right, tell me the name of the case again.
Forrest Savage.
Oh, Savage. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you're the victim or his mother or whom?
I'm his sister.
His sister, okay. All right, and there's another iPhone, and you can mute yourself again. We'll note that you're here on the Savage case. Thank you. And who's the other iPhone person? Okay, they're not answering. Go ahead, Deputy Falk.
Oh, it's my turn. Your
Nothing
Honor.
further from the state. It's Miss Kim.
Yes.
I'm sorry, PD Kim.
Yes, Mr. Freeman is 60 years old, Your Honor, and he's single. He was born in Florida, but he's been here for a long, long time. He currently works part-time, and also he's disabled, actually, Your Honor. He graduated from high school. He did one semester of college, and he's also a veteran. He completed Army. He was discharged with honor from 1982, 1983, because of his stroke that he had. He is disabled officially, Your Honor. So he does not have much to pay for the bond, especially when his car is facing the impounding, and it's going to cost a lot of money to get the car back. So he's afraid that he does not have enough money to pay for the bond. So we would like to request for a signature on bond. They do not live together. My client has had no contact whatsoever ever since October 11, 2022. So stay away, no further contact. We have no objection, and we would like to request for a signature on bond or maximum $1,000 good bond. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to order the split bond. And I believe the state's recommendation was a $4,000, $3,000 signature bond through pretrial on count 1 of simple battery. And then on.
And actually, Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting. If we can switch those around, because the simple battery is actually attached to a warrant. So if we can do 3,000 surety on the simple battery and then the 3,000 signature through pretrial on the family violence battery.
All right. So let me switch that around. $3,000 signature bond through pretrial on the battery per judge. And then on the first charge of simple battery family violence, a $3,000 surety bond. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's a total of $6,000 split, 3 surety and 3 signatures. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. That was the state's request.
Okay. All right. Do you have that, Ms. Grace?
Is that the ruling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, it's a $6,000 split bond, 3,000 signature on the battery, and 3,000 surety on the simple battery. And that's a signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order 1-day anger awareness course. I'm going to order a stay away from 1083 Coleman Street. No further contact with Ramona Carruthers. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right.
Nothing from the state.
Okay.
Position number 6, Nelson.
This is Craig Nelson, 23 CR 0000708D. charge of one count of criminal trespass, offense date February 2nd, 2023, pre-trial.
He got an open possession of cocaine, 22 CP 210925. That came from July arrest. 2021, removing luggage from the airport terminal. Trespass. Trespass was dismissed. 2020, removing luggage crossing state county guard lines with drugs or weapons. 2019 trespass conviction. He got 94 total. So
I was getting ready to say you didn't tell me the total. Okay.
yeah, that's all I got though. Between Georgia, Illinois, and Florida.
Okay, Georgia, Illinois, and who?
Florida.
Florida. Okay. All right, thank you. ASG Dillingham.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident occurred yesterday, February 2nd, when officers responded to MARTA Medical Center Station at 2420 Piedmont Road, Northeast Atlanta, after receiving a report that the defendant was lying across 3 seats while asleep with a pillow and his shoes off. The defendant has 1 active suspension and 2 pending suspensions from all MARTA locations and was in violation of the active suspension being present at that location at that time. We were made aware that the defendant is residentially challenged, so the state is recommending a $3,000 signature bond, a stay away order from all MARTA with emphasis due to all of the active and pending suspensions.
Okay. PD Hogue.
Yes, Your
Okay.
Honor, we will agree with the prosecution's recommendation for the signature bond, and to let the court know, a lot of this is due to his homelessness. However, he is actively seeking to rectify that. He is working with Mercy Care right now. That's situated across from MLK train station. They are looking at a gateway program to go from homeless to home. And also for the court to know he does suffer from, he gets Social Security disability because he suffers from heart failure, gout, COP, diabetes, and some other things. So we much appreciate the signature recommendation.
All right. I'm going to order this $3,000 signature bond through the jail. I'm going to order a stay away from all MARTA while on bond. I'm going to comply with any suspensions. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And it sounds like you already have social services are working with him to find housing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't hear Ms. Hogue, but
I believe so. Yes, sir. That's what he's told me. He's working with Mercy Care.
okay. Oh, not you all, but yes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Mhm. All right. That will conclude the ruling, I believe. Unless counsel has anything else.
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay.
Nothing from the defense.
Okay.
Position number 9, Mr. Savage.
Okay. This is 23 CR 0007021. Forrest Savage, 1 count of criminal trespass and damage to property. Offense date 3/28/2021. Hold for 1 second. Mr. Abshire, which case are you here for? Gerald?
He's muted.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Which case are you here for?
I'm here for the same case.
Oh, for Savage?
Yes, that's my brother, but my sister is actually the one that had the criminal charges for trespassing.
Okay. All right.
I think she got knocked off.
Is that her there? I see her speaking with Forrest Savage. All right. I'll come back to you in a second. Let me hear the case first, okay?
Okay.
I'm also here. I can see how to unmute me.
Okay. And I've got you down to as well. So both of you hold for a second. All right, go ahead, state. Sorry, pre-trial.
Total.
6.
Yes. Last arrest was 2011.
Can't hear you.
Last arrest was 2011. Driving without a valid license dismissed. 2010 suspended license Molo.
Are you in a hole somewhere? Or are you turned away from the mic? Sounds like you're very far away. We can barely hear you.
I'm in a hole, Judge. 2004, he was arrested by the DEA for possession of marijuana with intent. That was dismissed. And he had a history out of Ohio from 2002. That's it.
All right, thank you. All right, Deputy Falk.
Yes, Your Honor. This incident happened on, let's see, March 28th of 2021. At approximately 4:15 a.m., Miss Abshire, Deborah Abshire, called to report damage to her property. She stated that between 3 and 3:15, she was woken up to her dog barking. She heard a commotion outside. She went outside and saw Mr. Gerald Abshire and Mr. Forrest Savage running away from her vehicle. Mr. Abshire and had Miss Abshire then noticed an unknown substance on her vehicle and her tires were flattened. At that point, she made contact with the police and told them in regards to what had happened. And she also positively identified Mr. Gerald Abshire and Mr. Forrest Savage as the individuals responsible for damaging her vehicle. The state's recommendation in this case is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services. We are also asking for a stay away order from Mr. Deborah Abshire. No further violent contact. And we did have an opportunity to speak with Miss Abshire. She is stating they have resolved the issue and there have been no further issues. So we are agreeable to no further violent contact and we will drop the stay away. So the state's recommendation is $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no further violent contact.
All right.
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Abshire, can you unmute yourself
Yes.
and state your name again?
Deborah Abshire.
All right. Would you like to address the court today?
Yes. And
Okay, hold on. Raise your right hand for me so I can swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Yes. I want to just go ahead and resolve this case here to we have been reunited, all three of us as siblings, and there was a mistake that Gerald Abshire was not the other party that was involved. And Brian, at this point in time in his life, he stays with me. So as far as him having to stay away, I just want it all to go away so we can get back to our normal life.
Well, I can't make it go away today.
But not necessarily.
Yeah, we're just here for bond. So this is not the trial or the ultimate hearing in the case. This is just to determine bond for Mr. Savage, who's in jail.
Okay, and also, I don't mean just make it go away, but so that we can resolve it and like I said, get back to our normal life and then get some clarification on Gerald Abshire so that he doesn't end up in jail as the same way Brian did, and just allow us another chance to be family again.
Mm-hmm. How old is Forrest or Brian, did you call him?
Forrest is, I believe, 47, 48, something like that.
Okay. And he lives with you?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Abshire, do you want to make a brief statement?
Your Honor, I would just recommend that Mr. Abshire not do that. I don't know if there's an outstanding warrant for Mr. Abshire, and quite frankly, I find it kind of unusual that she misidentified her own brother. I actually think this happened and she's just being very generous. So let's not have Mr. Abshire say something that he may live to regret.
And Mr. Abshire, yes.
When she, as she spoke,
Hold on, I'm speaking. Please don't interrupt me. Thank you. Mr. Abshire, for your own protection, it is probably wise that you do not speak. The state is assisting you. All right. So I've heard enough to make my determination about your brother's bond and the recommendations for signature bonds. I'm not sure what else you will add that will help your brother, because it may hurt the two of you as well as you. So are you going to go ahead and not make a statement?
I do still want to say what I have to say with
Miss Abshire, I am not speaking with you right now.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Okay. All right. I cannot hear you, Mr. Abshire. You're muted.
Can you hear me now, Your Honor?
I can.
Okay, yes. Yeah, I don't have no problem at all making a statement.
Okay, well, I don't want you to.
Okay.
Because you might regret it. Let's be careful with that. I don't need your statement to make my determination, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I respectfully understand.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and Miss Abshire, what is it that you're trying to say?
Responding to what the state said, and she is correct. I did not misidentify my brother, as I explained, and in their police report they had on all black. There were things that were going on, so the description that I saw running away, you know, I didn't see them face to face, but when they send me pictures, yes, those are my brothers. So it's not that I misidentified them. I did identify them correctly in the information that the detective came back to me with. It's just, again, that they were in all black and things were going on at the time, and I automatically assumed the other party was Gerald Abshire.
Okay, that's fine. That can be determined at a later court hearing.
No problem.
All right, you can mute yourself. So I'm going to go with the state's recommendation of the $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge.
Per judge.
I'm sorry?
I said per judge, per state, somebody.
I'm sorry. Mr. Howard, I'm sorry. I can't make out what you're saying.
Never mind.
You want to put something to me in the chat?
No, we can proceed.
Proceed?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to order that $3,000 signature bond through pretrial per judge. I'm going to order no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And I understand that the defendant resides with the victim, but based on what I've heard, it sounds like that it will be okay to withdraw that stay away, but to order no further violent contact between Forrest Brian Savage and the victim, Deborah Abshire. Is that correct? So
yes, Your Honor.
You can go back there, Mr. Savage, but there should be no more violence or nothing happening that is illegal, obviously. But I will allow that with no further violent contact. Anything else, counsel?
Nothing for the state.
All right, that will conclude this case. Thank you.
Position 13, last but not least.
All right, that's Mr. Walls. That's case number 23 CR 0000714A, Daniel Walls, charged with 1 count of battery family violence, offense date 9/26/2022. And with the Abshires, if you would like to sign off, you can. It's up to you, but your case with your brother's been concluded and you all are free to go. Thank you. Pre-trial?
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Yeah, I turned the volume up to 100.
Thank you.
Last arrest was in November. Possession of a firearm by convicted felon or felony first offender. Possession of a Schedule 1. Trafficking cocaine, marijuana, or meth, one of them. possession of a knife or firearm during the commission, possession of cocaine, possession of a Schedule II controlled substance.
What was the total?
11. You heard me?
Yes.
All right, 2013, he was arrested by ATF for dangerous drug, possession of a weapon, conviction. And before that was in the 80s. That's all.
All right, thank you. All right.
Ready to go,
Deputy
Your Honor?
Yes.
My apologies. This happened in September 26th of 2022 at 856 Margaret Place Northwest in Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Gloria Town stated that her ex-boyfriend had assaulted her at that address. She stated that they had separated and were living in the same residence, but as roommates subsequent to their romantic relationship. But she at one point attempted to evict him from the home and moved his property from the room. She stated that around 10 p.m. she was awoken by the defendant screaming at her to put his property back the way it was. She ran to the bathroom to get away from him, but he followed her and squeezed her around the neck, resulting in scratches to her neck. He advised her, she did advise the officers that he let her go after the power went out. And she was able to identify him. There were scratches on her neck that the officers were able to observe. We did reach out to Miss Towns, and that is Townes. We left a message and sent a text, but did not get a response. However, I would like to sound for her. The state's recommendation is a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with Miss Gloria Towns, stay away from the address at 856 Margaret Place, Northwest Atlanta, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We do have some concerns. I understand his history is largely drug related. We were attempting to do a strangulation assessment on this case in order to determine if it was an aggravated assault, given that he did place his hands around her neck and leave scratches to her neck, which indicates that some pressure was involved. Thank you.
All right, PD Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Walls is 61 years old. He's from Tennessee, and he has been here in Georgia for about 10 years. Your Honor, he graduated from, he has a GED, and he's working with a license as an auction dealer for the car. Even though he has a license and a part-time job, he's collecting disability checks, and the amount is not that high to the point that he's qualified for public defender's services. So we will be continuously representing him even after the bond hearing today. Your Honor, he has serious disability. He cannot walk without walker. From 1997, he does have a partial paralyzed body from the lower part of his body, and he needs to have a medical attention to his disability. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and yet if Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request for a maximum $1,000. Even that might become a no bond for him. Your Honor, he has no objection to stay away and no further contact. They do not reside together anymore. That's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
So they were residing together at the time of the incident?
At the time of the incident, which was September 2000.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. When was the warrant taken out, Deputy Falk?
The warrant was taken out on October 20th, 2022, and then was not executed until the defendant was arrested yesterday.
Okay. All right, I'm going to issue the $5,000 surety bond. I'm going to order no further contact with Gloria Towns. I'm going to order the stay away from 856 Margaret Place Southwest. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond except for any prescribed to him. And I think that'll be it for the moment. Anything else, council?
Nothing from the state.
All right.
Judge,
Yes.
what was your bond amount for Savage? I know it was per judge.
Oh, yeah, hold on, let me make sure. I believe it was.
Your Honor, if I may, I had a $3,000 signature bond through
Bond through
pretrial
pretrial.
services.
Right, 3,000.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Have a good weekend.
You're leaving us. All right. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Do we have anyone else? I think all the names I recognize somewhat. Some names I don't, but I assume they're connected with one of the offices.
May I please ask what happened to Cadrick West?
Oh, did we leave one off? Let's see.
No, Cadrick West, we went and I looked through that entire packet. It looks like it was an FTA, a bench warrant, and a guilty plea, none of which are SEA first appearance cases. So the state declines to do a first appearance on a defendant who looks like he pled guilty. However, we are trying to ascertain what calendar he will be placed on. I'm currently working with the chief of staff to figure out if we need to put him on SAP or some other calendar, but this is not the appropriate calendar.
Gotcha. Sounds like it is not. All right. Are we ready to reconcile?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Miss Grace, there you go.
Okay, starting with the add-on calendar. Position number 1 was a $6,000 split bond. Position number 1, $3,000 pretrial bond per judge. Position number 2 was a $2,000 good bond. Position number 3 is a $2,500 good bond. Position number 4 is a $3,000 good bond. Position number 5 is a $4,000 good bond. Position number 6 is a sign-on bond through the jail. Position number 7 is a $5,000 pretrial bond per judge. Position number 8 is a $3,000 good bond. Position number 9 is a $3,000 pretrial per judge. Position number 10 is a $4,000 good bond. Position number 11 is a $5,000 good bond. Position number 12 is a $2,000 good bond. Position number 13 is a $5,000 good bond. Position number 14 is a $5,000 pretrial bond per judge. Any questions or concerns?
Nope, I think you got it all.
None from the state.
All right, everybody, enjoy your weekend.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
All right, you too.
Weekend.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.